I think there are a lot of people that sort of intrinsically in their mind want to compare the Nintendo Switch with something like the Steam Deck. And while I think you can make some pretty good arguments for both sides of that, right? Why maybe you should and why maybe you shouldn't, I think it's obvious why those comparisons are made. That being said, the biggest thing about the Switch that the Steam Deck just doesn't support right out of the box is the ability to switch to dock and then display on a TV. You put your Switch in your dock, you pop off your controllers, and you're playing on the TV. Here's the good news though. Steam Deck actually does support this. They just don't give you a dock. Valve is not making a dock right now. Apparently they are working on one, but it's not available. But I've got even more good news for you because there are docks on the market. And this one right here from JSAUX I have been using for the last few days. We're going to run down the hardware real quick. I'm going to show you some demos of how well it works. And then I'm going to tell you overall what I think. Spoiler alert, it's really, really good. So let's look at the listing here on their website. First, this is the dock we are talking about. And look, it's a really simple, really basic design. The Steam Deck does not have a plug on the bottom, so all it needs to do is just sit in here. And they've been smart enough to include some little grippy rubber bits there to keep everything nice and secure. And then a USB cable around the top, a C cable to be specific. And you can see how it is oriented to make it nice and easy to go straight into the Steam Deck, as you can see there on the photo. We also have a whole plethora of plugs to be using. Your USB-C there is your power in. I recommend that you use your original power cable, and if you do so, you won't get that warning for slow charging. It's going to charge as fast as it ever would just directly plugged in. You get an HDMI cable, which is really important for what I'm talking about because you're going to plug this thing into a TV or into a monitor, and it's going to display out on that screen, and it's really, really good. And then you have 3 USB-A ports, which are also really important if you're someone like me who wants to use a little wireless mouse and trackpad combo. I'll kind of demo that a bit later as well. Having the ability to just simply plug in a dongle there is great. What about plugging in some additional storage? You could drop this thing in and have a flash drive plugged into it with a bunch of ROMs or something like that on it. Perhaps you've got a controller plugged into it. Of course, you could Bluetooth the controller in, but these give you lots of flexibility of things to do. And then really importantly, there's Ethernet. Wi-Fi is fast, right? But Ethernet is faster. When I was downloading some games wirelessly versus when I plugged it into this dock, my speed like more than doubled. And I'm not even far from my router. It's actually like right over here. I was like feet away from it. But Wi-Fi is still slower than Ethernet. Now this dock is $49.99 and this is the one I'm reviewing now. Just keep in mind though, there is a cheaper variant for $39.99, which I believe the biggest difference is you lose a USB-A port. So if you don't need all 3, maybe consider this one instead. Talking about the actual hardware, it feels really, really nice. This does not feel like a cheaply made device. There is like no flex at all anywhere on this thing. It is rigid, it is solid. The plugs look really well milled out. It's a really premium looking product. It's a really thoughtful looking product and it works really, really well. When you drop your Steam Deck into it, there's not a ton of wiggle. It's really well fit. And overall, yeah, it just does what it says it does on the tin. Let's look at some demos now. Okay, so quick demo here of how this JSAUX dock works and how you could use it in your day-to-day life. I've got my Steam Deck here. I've obviously got a TV here behind me, and this dock is plugged into a number of peripherals, but the biggest one there being that HDMI output directly into the TV. And if you watch here, I can drop this into the dock and simply connect that USB cable to the top, and within a matter of moments, this should switch over to the screen on my Steam Deck, which you can now see. Looks quite nice. Now I've got my Xbox controller actually paired over Bluetooth. I tried using the dongle, but that did not work for me, but Bluetooth obviously does work just fine. And from there, you're able to control this thing just like it were something like a Nintendo Switch, but of course you have access to your Steam library, and you'll see here in a moment how good this actually does look. So there you go. This is a game I've been playing lately called Dinkum, and it looks good. The latency is really low. This works really well. I could totally see this being something I would actually use. So in addition to all of the gaming you could do with this setup, having access to your Steam library on a big screen with a wireless controller, your emulators, so forth and so on, there's something more that the Steam Deck can do. Of course, it has access to the Arch Linux desktop, which you can see here. I've recently reset mine, so there's not a lot going on here, but you can see this desktop. So what could you do with this? Well, if you drop this in, plug that into the dock, and grab yourself something like this mouse and trackpad combo like I have here, suddenly you're going to have access to a pretty cool setup. You can see by default, you've got a screen over here and then the large screen here. So let's fix that real quick by simply going into the settings and setting the external display as the primary and disabling the other display. And then at that point, like I said, you've got a full desktop setup. You can do whatever you can do in Linux, you can do on your television or your monitor, your external monitor, however you want to use this, mouse and keyboard. You see the possibilities here, right? Having a dock like this makes a lot of sense because just like there's a Nintendo Switch maybe slightly off screen over there, they can dock and play games. Well, this can dock and play games. They can dock and be a full computer. So it's like a Switch plus lots of other possibilities. So there you go. I think this thing is a really, really good product. I don't think that's any shock. My conclusion would be that it's really good, guys. If you're looking for this type of experience, whether it is that you want that Nintendo Switch experience to drop it in, dock it, and play on your television, or you want to set up something like an external monitor, a mouse and keyboard, and use that Arch Linux setup as if it were your primary computer, this is a fantastic way to go in for the price, for it only being $40 or $50, depending on which way you go. It's pretty hard to beat at that price point. Guys, thanks to JSAUX for sending this product out for me to review. Needless to say, it is going to be a permanent part of my Steam Deck life going forward. I honestly like it that much. Thanks for watching. If you want to purchase this thing, links will be in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.